What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to episode 66 of C4SVillains. I am your host JB and I am here once again by Chris Conkling and Steve, and we are going to be talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi Part 4. Chris, Steve, thank you guys both for joining me and welcome back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I was supposed to be on the show last week, but unfortunately something came up. So I'm just happy that you invited me to be here tonight.
Of course.
I'm happy to be back from the hiatus, man. I needed it.
Yeah, man, but it's happy to have you back. Happy to have you back as well, Chris. And we are going to be talking about one of my favorite episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi so far, so can't wait to get your takes on that. Chris and I already had a little bit of a conversation right before the show, so it's definitely going to be an interesting review. But before we get into the review itself, I have one announcement and one piece of news that I wanted us to talk about. So starting with our first announcement, you've got to see this. The Recast cast episode 4 is available right now. Brad and Blake had me on, and we did a full casting of the Fantastic Four in the MCU. We chose the 4 core members, Doctor Doom, and then we also set up a post-credit scene for that movie as well. It was a lot of fun to record. The 3 of us have 3 completely different Fantastic Fours, so it'll be really cool to see all of them get made. But yeah, check out the episode. Let us know what you guys think about that, and let them know that the Villains crew sent you. So moving on to our first piece of news. So a Thunderbolts movie is officially going to be in the works from director Jake Schreier, I believe is how his last name is pronounced. I am very excited for this. I figured we were going to get a Thunderbolts TV show. That's more of what I was thinking.
I expected that too.
Yeah,
the movie is shocking. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, I was thinking it'd be like a 5-episode like mini series, maybe like 30-40 minutes per episode, but a movie seems like they have a very specific plan. It's probably one very specific mission with the characters, and then that's it. So potential members include Yelena Belova, Ghost from Ant-Man and the Wasp, the Winter Soldier, the Abomination, U.S. Agent, Baron Zemo, and Taskmaster. These choices are absolutely insane. I would love to see any pairing of these characters to be a part of the Thunderbolts. So, Chris, I'll toss it to you. What are your thoughts on the Thunderbolts movie, and what do you think about this potential lineup?
Well, as I mentioned, I was completely caught off guard with them announcing a film instead of a television series, because like you just said, I always expected that it was going to end up being a Disney Plus show instead of a movie. But truth be told, I'm actually pleasantly surprised. I think by going the film route, they're going to be able to tell a more concise story. And as we've seen with some of the Marvel shows and some of the Star Wars shows, when you stretch these things out to 6 episodes, sometimes the middle episodes are a little lackluster. Maybe they feel as though they don't need to be there. I'm not hinting at anything that we're going to be talking about coming up here. But I'm really pleased that they're going the movie route. And all the characters that you just mentioned, James, again, like you, I would love to see the dynamics between any of these characters. I mean, like, Abomination paired up with Ghost or Yelena would be a lot of fun. I feel like Bucky Barnes being on the team is a little redundant if we're going to have U.S. Agent as well. But I think it could be an interesting dynamic because, like, Bucky is done being a mercenary. He doesn't want to do that anymore. So, like, he could be a counterpoint to the Thunderbolts. A lot of people have been comparing the Thunderbolts team to, like, DC's Suicide Squad. But I want it to be clear that the main difference between these two teams is that the Thunderbolts know that they're bad, and they're not being forced to go on missions with like the threat of death. Like they're doing it of their own volition. So I definitely think this movie is going to be a little bit different. Tragic that oh my gosh, I'm spacing on his name. The actor that played Thunderbolt Ross. Help me out, James.
Yeah. Why am I also blanking on his name? You did this to me.
Not good.
You should.
William Hurt.
William Hurt. Yes.
Tragic that William Hurt has passed prior to us getting a Thunderbolts movie, because I think this has been in the work for a very long time. But I think that also gives us the opportunity for a character like Julia Louis-Dreyfus's Val to maybe name the team Thunderbolts in honor of his passing. I don't know if they're going to end up recasting that character, or if they're going to go the T'Challa route and not recast him. But even though the passing of William Hurt is tragic, I think that it gives the in-universe characters an opportunity to give a reason for why the team is named Thunderbolts after this particular character. So we don't know a whole lot about the film. We just know like the roster of characters that could potentially be in it. But I've rambled enough. I think the prospects are very exciting in terms of what we might get.
Yeah. Really good point. Steve, what about you? What are your thoughts on Thunderbolts as a movie versus a series? And what do you think about the potential lineup?
So I saw the link that you sent. Was that supposed to be like, is this supposed to be animated, or is it going to be a live action, right?
Live action.
Live
It's
action.
going to be
Yeah.
live action? Okay, so we are going to get Sebastian Stan as Winter Soldier and things of that nature, probably.
None of
All
those characters
potential.
that we
We don't
mentioned
know.
are guaranteed.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah,
none
it's
of them are
all
guaranteed.
it's all hypothetical at this point.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm actually excited about it just because it'll be a movie and everything like that. Of course, we're going to get the comparisons, like you said, to Suicide Squad. Everybody's going to be going, Marvel is copying DC. They're already starting to do that again. And I'm just excited to see it in general, because if we do get the Abomination, which they've kind of hinted at, showing him in Shang-Chi and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, we could get Abomination. And I would love to see like Abomination interact with Bucky. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just because of the fact that we've kind of seen Bucky kind of like change, his personality's kind of changed a little bit since we first introduced him in Winter Soldier and everything. Well, really in the first Captain America, but like in Winter Soldier, he's more dark, like you said, a mercenary, a killer, and things like that. Where he's more like lighthearted a little bit in Falcon Winter Soldier. He kind of told a few jokes to Falcon or Falcon or whatever, Captain America. And he told a few jokes and stuff like that. To see him interact with Abomination would be interesting, because I'm wondering how they're going to have Abomination's character.
Honestly, seeing the Abomination interact with any of them.
Yeah.
That's all I want. At least put the Abomination in Thunderbolts. That's all I'm asking for.
Right.
And I think he is. I mean, they've showed us, they teased that Abomination, and then if they got Abomination, kind of like as the main pool in Thunderbolts, we need that. I mean, because we're tired of friendly Hulk and stuff like that, so we need an angry, brute force. So I would love to see Abomination in this movie, but I'm excited to see what they can come up with, what characters they decide to pull from instead of coming with the norm and things like that. So I'm wondering what characters they pull, and I would like to see it. I'm really excited for this.
Yeah, I think U.S. Agent for sure is guaranteed. I think we can all agree on that for sure. Abomination is probably going to be a part of that team. I'm not sure about Ghost.
I was going to say, I think Ghost is pretty likely, because at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp, she's trying to like fix her reputation, like make amends for everything she did for S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
And this could potentially be a way for her to do that.
Yeah, this would be a great way for her to do that. Really great point. And it's like we already talked about, you would get Zemo to run the whole thing. It's like, look, we'll get you out of prison. We just need you to be the leader of this team. I can definitely see that working. Zemo being reluctant, but then doing it anyway, and then having his own ulterior motives while running the Thunderbolts. I think that would be a great dynamic. Where do they find Taskmaster, right? If Yelena becomes a part of that team? Because here's the other thing. I would want Yelena to lean more towards the Avengers. I know Feige said that we probably won't see the Avengers for a while, a new team for a while, but I would love to see her lean towards that direction. But she can do both. I mean, she can start off in the Thunderbolts, and then she might get an invitation or something happens, and then she joins the Avengers later on.
You know, you also have, it's interesting that you bring that up, because, you know, at the end of Black Widow, we have Val tasking Yelena with going to kill Clint Barton, right? But in Hawkeye, he basically tells her that, like, it's all a lie, right? So after the events of Hawkeye, is she even willing to work with Val in any capacity anymore? So, like, is she even a possible team member at this point? Who's to say? You could slide Taskmaster in, the MCU Taskmaster, to kind of fill a similar position if you needed to.
I'm interested just to see, like you said, like I said earlier, the characters that they bring in, because they've kind of shown us a few characters that are kind of, you know, around, and I would love to see, like, if they be like, callback, remember this guy? Boom, here we go in Thunderbolts. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. So I would like that. I would like them to do something like that rather than give us every single character that we've ever seen that we kind of had thoughts of as a TV show. They kind of just bring them in Thunderbolts and be like, boom, you remember him? Call back. And that would just be like enough fan service for me to just be like, ooh, I love that. That they attention to detail.
What about Echo? Do you think that there's potential for Echo to be in the Thunderbolts?
Possibly. We haven't seen the show yet, so we don't really know where that's going to end up. But I mean, it's possible.
Yeah, because I can see the same thing where it's like she wants to make amends, you know, type thing. So it's like after the series, she might get a call, you know, like it might be like the end of Incredible Hulk where Tony Stark shows up and is like, I'd like to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative. You know what I mean? Like someone can come up to her and be like, hey, you know, let's talk about, you know, the Thunderbolts Initiative. I think that would be really cool and poetic. But yeah, very excited for Thunderbolts. I think this has a lot of potential to be something really cool. The more we talk about it, the more it's like, you know what, a movie would be perfect. A quick mission in and out, and then we might see them like scattered throughout other TV series on Disney Plus.
Or, I mean, you know, the movie end up being successful enough, we get the Thunderbolts 2, like the Suicide Squad 2. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. Yeah. So they just bring them back together just for us, you know.
Yeah. Anything is possible. I'm really excited about this. So let's get into our main topic tonight. Our main topic, Obi-Wan Kenobi Part 4. I absolutely love this episode. We left off from episode 3 where Leia was kidnapped by Third Sister. So after she was kidnapped on Mapuzo, Leia is on planet Nur. Okay, Fortress Inquisitorius. This was like a huge thing for me when I saw it in the episode, because I'm a huge Jedi Fallen Order fan. There is a huge mission on planet Nur at Fortress Inquisitorius as Cal Kestis. Is one of my favorite things to do in any game ever. So being able to see Obi-Wan at Fortress Inquisitorius literally blew my mind. And pretty much Reva is interrogating Leia, trying to get information on Obi-Wan, trying to get information on the path. So that is the point of this entire episode, and Obi-Wan and the team has to go in and try to save Leia. One, just to save her, but also to make sure that she doesn't give up any information on the path. So when the episode begins, we get this incredible parallel between Obi-Wan in the tank, in the back-to-tank breathing, and then we also get Vader as well. These moments absolutely blew me away. I love the shot that we also get of them both breathing in the back-to-tank. I thought that was also really cool. We get the pans to Obi-Wan's hand and then also to Vader's hand.
Vader's missing hand.
Yeah, so I love those parallels. I love that in the back-to-tank that they're kind of in a different like state of consciousness to where they can feel each other through the Force. Exactly. Yeah. Much like we saw with like Rey and Kylo Ren in the sequel trilogy. So these two incredibly powerful Force users feeling each other across the galaxy. So that alone absolutely blew me away. What did you guys think about that opening scene?
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic parallel, and the way they intercut between the two, like you said, is absolutely excellent. With like showing Obi-Wan's twitching hand and then cutting to Vader's missing hand. Obi-Wan is so terrified of these visions that he crawls out of the bacta tank. I don't think we've ever seen anybody bail on the healing process of the bacta tank so quickly than he did in this episode. But yeah, great filmmaking. I really like it. We're learning more and more, from Book of Boba Fett and this show, that the bacta tanks, while they're healing you, really do put you into this like sensory deprivation type of state. For even someone like Boba Fett, who's not force sensitive, that brought about a ton of visions of the past, and I know it's a vehicle to tell us, the audience, what's going on in his past and stuff like that. But I really dig that they're kind of making the bacta tanks like the sensory deprivation tanks. Like I said, I think that's a cool process.
Yeah, I really like the fact that, like you said, that we get that memory, that they start reliving all these moments and having these flashbacks and things like that. And it felt like it felt like Obi-Wan was feeling the same kind of like things, struggles and things that Vader was feeling and things like that. So it kind of felt like, oh, okay, I see your pain and everything. But he could also feel the anger that Darth Vader had, and it was definitely something that shocked him and kind of woke him up. And then as soon as he wakes up, he's like, "Where's Leia?" So it's like, but I just like that. I've usually have seen the Bacta tanks where they're just in there, and I've never really paid much attention until like Boba Fett. And I don't know if like Boba Fett was where it started at, because I'm new to the Star Wars. But I don't know if Boba Fett's where it started at, where they started to have the flashback memories, or where they showed the flashback memories, or if that was just
I can't recall. I think, James, can you think of a moment prior to this?
No,
in Clone Wars they put Yoda into a bacta tank, I think, in like season 6 to increase his force capabilities. But I mean, like in The Empire Strikes Back, when Luke goes in, I don't remember him having any visions or anything like that. So
yeah, same.
It's like a more recent concept.
Yeah, but besides Book of Boba Fett, I can't remember a time where I actually saw someone in a bacta tank actually like see like visions, or like in this other like state of like consciousness. That's something that's definitely new and very interesting too, because before then it's just like, oh cool, we have bacta tanks, they heal you, and that's it. But now we got more of it, and I thought that opening was just really really cool in the way that they did it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I really thought that was cool.
Yeah, so let's get into the character breakdown. I broke it down in sections so that we can make sure that we cover all parts of the episode. So starting with Obi-Wan, Chris, I want to start with you. What were some of your favorite moments with Obi-Wan in this episode?
For the entire episode?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, as we were talking about prior to recording, I think this has one of the coolest sequences in the show so far, with Obi-Wan saving Leia from the interrogation machine, being pitch black with the 2 stormtroopers in the room, and just igniting the lightsaber briefly, taking one out, disengaging the lightsaber to make the room pitch black again. I have to say, the stormtrooper that is left after the first one goes down, the cojones on that stormtrooper. He is so brave, but is taken down absolutely immediately. But it's just shot really well, and it's a really well executed sequence. Definitely one of the standout moments for me for the entire episode.
Steve, what about you? Give me one of your favorite moments with Obi-Wan.
So one thing that I liked was that when he was trying to use the Force for the lightsaber, and he kind of was like nervous, and I don't know if he was having like little moments where he was thinking about Darth Vader. But he kind of was like, he was struggling with it and struggling with using the Force. And they have that moment, and then towards the end, he uses it like to hold back water from breaking a window. And it's like, bro,
awesome.
You know how strong, like how powerful you have to be to hold back water from busting in. So I thought that was cool. Like just that little growth from the episode. It's just like, boom, he went from, I don't know if I want to use it again, to like, okay, I'm going to show you how much power I have. And I thought that was really cool. That he was just able to hold back the force of the water, and he held it until she could escape, and then he was like, all right, I'll let it through. And he let it through and flushed out. It was pretty cool. I like that.
That's a great
part.
shout out. Yeah. We talked a little bit about that when I was on discussing episode 1 and 2, how we're seeing this like gradual progression of him reacquainting himself with the Force, reconnecting to it. And I think that's one of the strengths of the show. So they're doing a great job illustrating that progression.
Yeah, definitely. Like, Steve, that was my favorite, like definitely my favorite moment from Obi-Wan in the episode. Just watching him hold back this glass. He's holding back the ocean. Like, just the ridiculous amounts of pounds of pressure. Like, there's so much of this fortress that's underwater and he has to hold it. And the other part that made that really cool is that there's a moment in Jedi Fallen Order where a certain character has to hold back all of the water that's coming into the facility. So it's like, to see Obi-Wan do that just shows how incredibly powerful he is with the Force. It's fucking incredible. And again, just watching him swim in the water was just one of my favorite things, because again, from Jedi Fallen Order, we get to see Cal Kestis. There's a mission where he has to jump into the water, swim to an open hatch to get into Fortress Inquisitorius in order to finish his mission. So there was so many parts of this episode that connected to me and connected to, playing Fallen Order. It's my favorite Star Wars game. I love this universe so much. So it's cool to watch all of these different things connect, So let's jump to the Rebels real quick, and then we'll circle back around to Obi-Wan. We got introduced to Sully, we got introduced to Wade, and then we also got introduced to O'Shea Jackson Jr.'s character, Roken, right? Who I assume is like the leader of the Rebel base on Jabim. So, Chris, I want to start with you. What did you think about the Rebels introduced in this episode?
Nothing positive sticks out in particular about any of the Rebels. They aren't very well developed at this point in time. We're going to get more of them, other than Wade, of course, in the coming episodes. So I'm hoping we get to learn a little bit more about their characters. But as of right now, they really don't stick out to me as major characters or anything like that. I was talking to James a little bit before the episode about Roken and his initial interaction with Obi-Wan and Tala in the episode, and how his switch from not wanting to help them to wanting to help them is so abrupt and quick. And I actually do like what the episode's trying to do. I like the story Roken's telling us about his wife, who was Force sensitive and had Force abilities. He doesn't necessarily state that she was a Jedi. He does say that he knew what she was prior to getting married. So I like all that stuff. But the turn, to me, just seemed a little abrupt and not great, in my personal opinion. But I'm eager to learn more about these characters. I hope they can flesh them out a little bit more in these last two episodes. And are they actually members of the Rebel Alliance, or are they solely moving Jedi?
I mean, I assume that, because I would assume it's all one and the same thing, right? Like, there's just different moving parts of the same machine. So they help transport people who are part of the Resistance, who also want to help and recuperate the Jedi Order. Now, in return, in terms of Roken's wife, you're right. They don't make it very specific, but I think when they mentioned it in previous episodes that they were even taking just people who are Force sensitive.
Right. Kids that can float rocks, I think they say. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Steve, what about you? Like, what were your thoughts on the Rebels?
I didn't have like a big rah about it. It was cool to see O'Shea Jackson Jr. just because he kind of hinted at it a few times, and there was kind of like the rumors going around that he was going to be in, and then finally he was like, wait until they see my character in Star Wars and things like that. So I was like, okay, cool.
When I heard that he said that, I was like, is he playing Quinlan Voss?
Bro,
and then in this episode he's this character, and I'm like, okay, well,
yeah, sure.
I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe it's in the next couple of episodes, but
that's what I'm thinking. But he has like a big thing about like telling, like spoiling things. It's like, dude, he'd never be in the Marvel universe. Kevin Feige would get him out of there. He has a big problem with spoiling things.
I think his comment on like people like being surprised about who he's going to be, I think it was more on the side of him being the leader of a faction of rebels, is what we'll call it. you know, because people are all up in arms about POCs being in any type of like role in Star Wars. So I think that's what he meant, but I mean, I don't know. Based on the character reveal, that's the only thing that I can think of, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was like, maybe he's gonna do something amazing in the next 2 episodes. But
he's gonna kill Darth Vader. I can tell you that.
Oh yeah, that would be crazy, like time jump or something. But
it was a multiverse all along.
But yeah, man. Other than that, like I kind of just was watching. I don't really too much know much about the Rebel Army and everything like that. So I just was like, okay, cool. He's here and he's yelling at Obi-Wan, and that's what pretty much what I was.
If he survives the show, who's to say he doesn't pop up in Andor? You know,
very possible.
So maybe his character will be in more Star Wars after this. We'll see.
Yeah, all very, very possible. So their whole thing, Obi-Wan and Tala pretty much convinced them to help them save Leia because we know that Leia knows about the path, and if the Inquisitors find out about that information, then they're screwed. We know that Leia knows about Jabim, and they don't know how strong Leia is, and I can't wait to talk about that.
I don't think Leia knows how strong Leia is.
Yeah, she doesn't. Yeah, because from what we know, she doesn't even realize that she's actually Force sensitive until Empire. So It's like, it's really cool to see this, and I can't wait to talk about that scene. But let's talk about Tala real quick. Like, I feel like Tala was the most important part of this episode, honestly. Without Tala, I don't see how Obi-Wan gets into this facility alive. I don't see how he gets out. So Tala plays a very, very important role, and I love everything that she did. And one of the many reasons why I like Rogue One so much, like I've said many times on the podcast, is I love seeing people that are not Force sensitive just put their lives on the line to do what's right. She had no idea if her credentials would work, but she went to Fortress Inquisitorius because she knew it was simply the right thing to do. So Tala is definitely the MVP for me in this episode. And just watching her talk to that security guard, like, why am I even wasting my time talking to you? You know what I mean? Like, it's a great sequence. So, Chris, starting with you, just tell me about some of your favorite moments with Tala and maybe talk about that interrogation. Well, not the interrogation sequence, but when she's talking to the security guard.
Yeah, I think that's a great sequence in the episode. They're capable of building, the necessary tension that they need to make you feel as though Tala's in danger. I really do appreciate that. I think the conversation between Tala and the third sister is an even better sequence. When my wife and I were watching that, I mean, we know that she's on the side of the rebels, but there was a moment where my wife turned to me and was like, "Are we sure she's not like a triple agent here or something?" So I think, what's the actress's name? Indira Varma is doing an excellent job with this character. She's very, very convincing. And she, just like in the show, she seems to be a great liar. So I am digging what she's doing in the show.
Yeah, I really liked it. And I liked when they call her out and they're like, "You're a betrayer. You're betraying the group." And she was like, "Yes, I am." And it's like, oh, okay. I was like, look at the kahunas on this one. It's like,
but she spins it to make Reva think that it was necessary that she do that so she could infiltrate the rebels and gain their trust. So it's very well written.
Yeah, I love the fact that she just was like calm, cool, collected, and she just like slid that in there, and you're like, what? And then she's like, no, but I did it because of this, and you're like, oh, okay. So it's one of those like up and down roller coaster moments, or whatever. And then like once she gets there with Obi-Wan and he's holding the water pressure down, you're like, yeah. It's just like, it was really good. I appreciated her character a lot. And
but then while we're like in the realm of this sequence that you're talking about, Steve, then the show immediately does one of the most ridiculous fucking things I've ever seen in a Star Wars. They did like a Muppets trench coat gag.
Right, and it was
they're literally walking through the lobby of this Imperial base. Not any Imperial base, but Fortress Inquisitorius. And Obi-Wan has 4 legs. 2 of which are way tinier than his own.
It reminded me
what is happening?
The Star Wars Family Guy episode when Family Guy did a Star Wars episode. That's what it reminded me of when they were like, I'm taking that couch. And then they were walking out with a couch. It was like, bro, there's no way nobody can tell that there's a whole like hook body. Like
I thought it was
like,
hilarious because stormtroopers suck.
They do
suck.
They're horrible. And you know, I've joked about this with you guys in our group chat. And like, I really do think every single problem with the Stormtrooper comes down to helmet design. Like, they just cannot see. That's the problem. So like, if Obi-Wan is sneaking a little girl under a trench coat through an Imperial lobby, like the reason no one is saying anything about it is because they literally can't see what's going on. They can't shoot any of their targets because they can't see their targets. So if the Empire took a moment to just redesign the Stormtrooper helmets, I think they would be way more capable of doing their jobs.
You're so right, dude.
I can't say fucking shit out of this thing. It just reminds me of Django. I can't see fucking shit out of this thing.
It's like, seriously, like through the lobby, through the security thing, like they got outside. They were almost gone. No one saw it. I'm like, are you blind? But yeah, I mean, their helmets are just poorly designed.
There's a reason the Clone Trooper helmets have the visor, the connecting visor. It's literally an open windshield for soldiers to see out of. And yet the Stormtrooper helmets are dead set on just putting these eye holes in the helmets. Like the entire middle ground, they're incapable of seeing out of.
It just can't. It's crazy.
I also love how Tala is able to completely subdue the terminal officer without anyone else hearing. Like, the room is completely quiet and she just like chokes him out, like just right on the other side of the room. It's like, sure, man, cool.
Yeah.
I guess they're also deaf too.
Knocking shit off the shelf. They're just looking around. Her stealth is on 10. Like whatever.
Look,
the video
Tarkin, we know Tarkin wanted to save money when he discontinued the Clone Trooper program. Like, the helmet design is just another instance of the Empire wanting to cut corners. That's all.
And like you said on a previous like video, like, you get what you pay for, man. Like,
Totally.
Yeah.
You get what you pay for. You don't want to pay for soldier clones? Well, you got these idiots who can't see shit.
I'm surprised we don't see stormtroopers tripping in the background of shots over their own feet just because they cannot see where they're walking.
What is that? What is the spoof Star Wars movie?
Spaceballs?
Spaceballs. Yeah, that's they have them to a T of what it should have been.
Do you guys also think that we'll see other like Imperial officers like in like other series that like have defected? Like
I'm sure.
in like Ahsoka maybe, or in like Mando 3 maybe?
I'm sure. Probably, I would assume in Andor we'll probably see some. You know, because Tala can't be the only person who joined the Empire thinking she was going to do something good for the galaxy.
Yeah.
You know, and then it turns out that they're doing terrible things. So I guarantee you we see more people like Tala.
Yeah.
I hope we do, at least.
Actually, I thought it was crazy that Wedge Antilles joined the Empire at first.
Yeah.
Before he became a rebel. You know, he also thought that the Empire was doing something good for the galaxy and then realized what they were doing and then decided to defect. So I thought that was really cool, like, when we found that out. Like, one of the best pilots.
I don't want to go down like a huge political digression or anything, but that's like any corrupt government, you know, like you're fed all this propaganda about what the government's doing for the people, and then you end up joining the military or something like that, and then you find out maybe that they're not as well-intentioned as you initially expected. So I think it's kind of true to life in some cases.
And sad, honestly.
Very.
Yeah. Really.
Yeah. So transitioning, let's get to pretty much which is my favorite sequence in the entire episode, the interrogation sequence between Leia and Reva. I absolutely love this sequence because you have Reva telling Leia, yo, Obi-Wan's dead. No one's coming for you. They're forgotten about you. No one is going to come for you. No one's thinking about you. They will leave you here to die. And this is pretty much just Reva reflecting onto Leia what happened to her. No one came for her. she was forgotten. No one came to save her. You know what I mean? I think she was led to believe that her master was dead. And I think in episode 3, I highly think that she saw her master's name on the wall, struggling, smuggling other younglings, like through Mapuzo, through Jabim, and then through the path. So I think when she saw that name, I think it pissed her off even more, because she sees a name on a crest. So I think her master is still alive. So I think that pisses her off even more, that her master really just never came for her. And yet Obi-Wan is coming for Leia. So I love this. Of course, the scene where, third sister is trying to use the Force on Leia, and she's struggling. She can't figure out why it's not working. And then Leia just looking back at her like, is this a staring contest or something?
A great line.
It's like, great line.
So sassy.
Perfectly performed by Vivian. And it's just like, yes, this is the child of Vader, but you don't know that. That's why she's so incredibly fucking powerful. So, Chris, I'll toss it to you first. Like, what were your thoughts on the interrogation sequence, and tell me some of your favorite moments?
It's a great way to show us that Leia is exhibiting Force properties or Force powers prior to her even realizing that she has them, And even though she says, is this a staring contest? As soon as Reva kind of stops, Vivian like gives a sigh of relief. So you can tell that she's like straining a muscle, trying to push back as Reva's trying to infiltrate her mind. So it's not like she's doing nothing. She is doing something, like whether it be instinctually or what have you. But I really like that Lucasfilm has been able to kind of build on Leia as a Force sensitive person over the years. Just based on the little breadcrumbs we've gotten from like the original trilogy. So seeing that she's capable of doing these things as a 10-year-old, I think is a really great in terms of adding to the mythos of Star Wars.
Definitely. Right. Steve, what about you?
Yeah, to piggyback off of what you said, me, I'm not the super like Star Wars diehard thing, but like I've joined into the Star Wars community in the last year or two. So like when people are saying like, yo, Star Wars is not good, it's not greatly written and stuff like that, I'm like, I don't think you guys understand how hard it is to write something based off of something like a prequel based off of like minor, what you think happened in the old Star Wars, and you have to build off of it and make something out of it. I don't think people understand how hard it is to do that. And like you said, just like they're making Leia be Force sensitive or whatever, and they're doing it based off of what the little details that they got in the original movies. And I think that that's really, really dope. And I don't think people understand how hard it is to write something like that and make it make sense now currently. And it's just like people are just so nitpicky, and I'm like, bro, this is actually a great story and it's great writing, and I just don't understand how people are being nitpicky like that. But I love it. I like that sequence. I like how she's like demanding, she's like, I am a princess, and like stuff like that. It's like, man, I like that she's just like standing her ground, and even as a little kid, you know what I'm saying, and she's just really be able to just like put that sass, like you said, in there, and just put that demand of like, what I'm saying, I'm a princess, and then Rika is telling her that no one's coming for her and stuff, and Obi-Wan's dead. And I didn't even think anything of like her seeing the name on the wall, but that would make sense, you know what I'm saying?
That would be really cool.
That would be really cool if they kind of like do like something like that, and they show that the name on the wall was the person that's supposed to be coming to save her. And then it makes you think like, dang, you saved all these other younglings and stuff like that, and you never came back to me. So that would show a lot of reason why she's so angry and things like that, because that would definitely make sense.
Yeah, like it honestly pisses me off when people don't even try to acknowledge what Third Sister has been through. Her and the other Inquisitors that used to be Jedi younglings. Like they were taken from their masters were killed, their friends were killed, they were taken by the Empire, tortured, and then meant to believe that the Jedi are evil, no one's coming for them, no one loves them, turns them into... Or they
just had a disdain for the Jedi, like the Grand Inquisitor was a guard in the Jedi Temple.
Yeah. So it's just like, just turning the Jedi against their own people. and that's what she's trying to do to Leia. Even in this moment where she's trying to put Leia in this machine, trying to interrogate her. I love the bravery from Leia. Like, not even though she's absolutely fucking terrified, she will not give up the information of the path and of Jabim. And I absolutely love that. She's 10 years old.
Yeah.
Yes, a kid.
She's 10 years old. So it's just like,
And then we have
Vivian
Luke
is doing
sitting on Tatooine, just going,
Wee.
I want to go to spaceships.
I want to go to Tashi Station to get some power converters.
Oh man.
Yeah, but I thought this exchange was brilliant. Again, it's my favorite thing. When Reva sees the droid, she's like, I had a droid once too, and the Empire took that along with everything else. It's like, again, how do you not see the backstory and everything behind Third Sister? And Moses Ingram is playing it beautifully. You can see everything that she's been through this interrogation scene and what she's telling Leia, because again, she's been through all of this. I think she was told all of this, that no one loves her, no one's coming for her. You know what I mean? And when Leia won't break, it's almost like she's surprised at like her resilience, like, because maybe she didn't last that long. Who knows? You know, I would love to get some backstory, some more backstory on Reva.
I'm sure we will. We have to, right? Like by the end of the series, they have to give us some backstory on Reva to make it all worthwhile. You know?
Yeah, and she also tells Leia, like, the only one that can help you is yourself, which, again, it's like Reva wants to become the Grand Inquisitor, because, again, no one can hurt her at that level. The only person she answers to is Lord Vader, who only answers to the Emperor. No one could fuck with her ever again. You know what I mean? So it's like, there's so much to Third Sister, and I absolutely love her character. So let's transition to the Jedi Tomb. The Jedi Tomb, I thought this was crazy. This was something that I did not think that we would see at all. Obi-Wan walks into the room and he tells Tala, like, I think I know what they've truly been hiding here. And it's a tomb of Jedi. Now, they're all encased in amber. We don't know for sure if they're dead or not. Like, when you look at the bodies, they don't look mangled. They don't look like they have any lightsaber burns on them, anything like that. So it's like, could they have just been captured and encased in amber? Is this like a trophy room and also like a warning room to the Inquisitors to stay on task?
It could potentially tie into the cloning experiments that the Empire's doing.
Mm-hmm.
As much as I dislike the Rise of Skywalker, Lucasfilm is doing everything within their power to make what happens to Palpatine in that movie makes sense within the lore of Star Wars. You know, we've seen cloners going after Grogu and Mandalorian. There have been many little breadcrumbs planted throughout all these shows that the Empire is doing cloning experiments. We see it in the Bad Batch as well. So I'm wondering if I mean, I see no other reason as to why the Empire would need to preserve Jedi that they capture other than to like experiment on their DNA and create Force-sensitive clones. You know?
That makes so much sense.
I think that could potentially be why they're holding these particular Jedi captive. But I'm just speculating. Or it could be a trophy room, you know, but like that just takes up space, you know? I feel like the Empire wouldn't do something like that. I feel like there has to be a purpose as to why they are holding these people captive.
You're right. Steve, what about you? Like, what was your first thoughts like when you saw Obi-Wan walk into the tomb?
When he walked in, I just was thinking that he was just gonna like be like dropping to his knees, like, yo, these are like people that I fought alongside or people that I worked with, my peers and things like that. And I just was like surprised that, you know, the strength that it would take for you to see like your friends just frozen into him, you know what I'm saying? Or the sigh of relief that some people that you know aren't there. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just a crazy thing to just think like, oh, this is a tomb and oh, JB's here, but Chris is still out there somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And just like, please, you know what I'm saying? Like, or, you know, but like, there's just like, just the thought process of just like going through that hallway and just seeing that and stuff like that. I just was like, man, that's got to be crazy. And I have no idea. I didn't think anything about clones or anything like that. But I just was like, yo, this is crazy that these people are, these Jedi's that they've been hunting down. They're not hunting them down and killing them. And it makes sense because I think Rika was about to kill one at the bar, and then can't remember the other guy's name. He stopped her.
They
From
hung him
killing.
up though.
Yeah,
They
they
hung
hung
him up
him.
in the
Yeah.
middle of
Oh, they hung him.
Tatooine. Yeah.
Okay, but I was just thinking like maybe that was the reason why he stopped her from killing them because they plan on preserving them for certain reasons. But maybe they hang them and then put them in the thing, and that would suck. You know what I'm saying? For
Well,
us to think.
with Benny Safdie's Jedi, I think what they wanted is like, well, if we can find one Jedi, he may have information on where we could find other Jedi, or like some kind of like safe house or something. They wanted to get information out of him, I think. You
Yeah.
know? That's how I perceived it anyway.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just was like thinking like that was just it was a heavy hitting scene from a different perspective for me. And it's just like, oh shoot, like, you know what I'm saying? This is the fallen soldiers room, you know what I'm saying? And you're getting to walk from it because you're not supposed to be able to no Jedi usually is going through there to actually see that room. Usually it's anybody else. So from his perspective, that's like, you know what I'm saying, crazy.
The suspended Padawan is what got me.
Yeah.
When they flashed to that and kind of lingered on it, I was like, oh damn. That's
Yeah,
so
seeing the
cold.
youngling in amber, yeah, that really got
The
me.
youngling, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in the tomb, I'm going to bring up this picture again real quick. So over to the far left, we see a guy in dreads. Now, I instantly thought that this was Quinlan Vos, but we were talking about it before we went live. I don't think it's Quinlan Vos because Obi-Wan had zero reaction to seeing this person in amber. I think if it was actually Quinlan, especially after his reaction in episode 3 to seeing his name on the wall, if it was Quinlan, there would be some kind of reaction. So I think it's just some other character with dreads. One of the other characters that we see is Tera Sinube. He made several appearances in the Clone Wars animated series. There were actually flashbacks of him in Jedi Fallen Order. He was on the Jedi Council at one point, and he was the leader of the Hawkbat Jedi clan of younglings, in which Count Dooku was a youngling under Tera.
Wow.
Yeah, so I thought that was something really, really cool when I looked that up. Another one that we have is Pablo-Jill. He was one of 3 fully CGI rendered Jedi characters in Attack of the Clones, named after one of the VFX artists. I thought this was another really cool pull, because when I saw him at first, I was like, where have I seen this Jedi from? And then when I looked it up, I was like, yep, that was one of the Jedi from Attack of the Clones. Once we had that big battle when we had to save Padme and Anakin and Obi-Wan. So I thought that was really, really fucking cool to see those characters. I was looking up to see if there was any other Jedi that we recognized, but I couldn't find anything. And I was asking Chris before we started the show, we saw 2 women. Do you guys think, and Steve, I'll start with you, do you think one of those 2 women could have been Roken's wife? I have nothing to base that on, but it was just something that I thought of.
I do not know. All I know is Roken's wife is missing. But that would be something cool if they piggyback off on that. That would be something they like episode 5 or 6 he sees it and something like that happens. And then maybe, since he's kind of talked about you guys are going to be surprised or angry at what I do, maybe he sees his wife and has a Peter Quill moment and decides to spaz out and blows the whole mission. You know what I'm saying? So that would be interesting. If that is his wife, that would definitely be interesting.
Chris, what about you?
I think it would be a really cool idea. I don't know if that's ever an answer that we are going to get, but I think it makes for really good headcanon. I dig it.
Yeah, it's like it's very much possible, but who knows? They could just be 2 random people who are Force sensitive. And the more that I think about it, the more I'm leaning more towards your theory, Chris, where it's like they could be using these people to make clones, to experiment on them. They have a youngling, they have like different like alien Jedi, so they have so many different types of DNA to play around with. Like, it's very, very possible. And like you said, like, because of Rise of Skywalker, we know that there have been several like Snoke clones in order to get to like the right one, and a bunch of bullshit. You know what I mean? So it's like it's very possible that they're using them to experiment on them, and they're in amber to preserve them at the exact age and the exact moment that they're in. You know,
Right.
so I mean that makes perfect sense to me. So I really hope
At
that
this
that's
point,
the case.
Grogu's already gone missing, right? So they could just be experimenting on Jedi with like lesser force sensitivity, and it's just not working. And that could be why they go after Grogu in Mandalorian season 1 to get, you know, a specimen that's from Master Yoda's species. Maybe they think that for some reason his force sensitivity would make their experiments successful. I'm just spitballing here. But yeah, I don't know. I think it has to do with the cloning.
Yeah, and the longevity of Grogu's, race. You know how
Right.
long they live too.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Mhm.
possibilities there. God damn, that's so cool. Jumping back to Obi-Wan real quick. One of my favorite moments from Obi-Wan was, again, we briefly talked about it, but just watching him get back into the swing of things, using the lightsaber to bounce the blasters back at the stormtroopers, and then he does the pose that I just brought up there in the picture. I fucking lost it, man. I'm a nerd. I love Star Wars. I love Obi-Wan Kenobi. Watching him take out those stormtroopers and then posing like that, I jumped out of my fucking chair. So what about you guys? Like, what did you guys think of watching Obi-Wan again? Just like get more into like getting back into his like reflexes, like bouncing the lasers back at the stormtroopers, all of that shit.
I really enjoyed this scene. I appreciate that he's not perfect. It was kind of like watching a baseball player go up to bat after a decade of like not playing baseball. You know,
Mhm.
like he's not as fine tuned as he was during the Clone Wars or even during Revenge of the Sith. You know, and we've mentioned this before on the show. Like the confidence that he had in Revenge of the Sith prior to everything going to hell, just you can see that he's still not super confident in his movement. You know, he's doing his best. He's trying to get those muscles to start working again, get back on the bicycle, but it's still a little sloppy. You know, he's achieving what he's setting out to achieve, but it's not as fine tuned as it was a decade ago. And I like that. I like that they're kind of paying attention to Obi-Wan's movements and showing that. I think that's really important for the character. So yeah, I really like the scene too.
Steve?
Yeah, so I like the scene a lot. I'm at the point where I'm just like, okay, so this is what I kind of wanted out of Boba Fett. I just was thinking it was going to be really, really great. You know what I'm saying? And it just ended up being pretty good. And where this Obi-Wan is just like has been phenomenal for me. And I binged all 4 episodes on Wednesday, I think. So it's different than like y'all's experience of week to week.
Poor
So I've
Steve.
just
Someone's always asking him to binge something from Star Wars so he can
hey,
talk about it.
I should have been on it. I should have been on it, but I was behind. But like binging those 4 episodes, I was like, yo, this is way better. No offense than Boba Fett. Yeah, I was just like, this has been way better. And like the Mandalorian was really great. And now I'm just like, okay, I'm seeing why everyone loves Star Wars so much. And Ewan McGregor is really, really doing a great job. Just seeing him back in the swing of things, I guess, from you guys' perspective, because for me, he just looked old and fuzzy. You know what I'm saying? In the episode, in the movies that I saw, whereas you guys, it's been years since he played the character and things like that. So him coming back is just like, yo, this is just like so dope. And I was like, man, I wish I had that same experience, but I can still pretend. And it just seemed really cool just seeing him back into the swing of things and just like, man, he's getting back the hang of it. He's ricocheting the bullets off of the lightsaber and things of that nature. So I was just like, yo, that's pretty cool. That's what I'm used to seeing. With anytime they show people shooting, I'm like, you're never gonna hit the Jedi. Like I've never seen it happen. So it's just like you guys are wasting bullets and you're just making yourself be a sitting duck. So like just seeing him do that, and it's just like, okay, yeah, he's back. So it's like in a sense like in the first beginning parts of the episode where him and Darth Vader are having those flashbacks and stuff like that. It's like, dang man, like you woke up a beast in a sense. It's like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like he's back to fighting Grill. He's starting to hold back water and stuff like that. So this next time we see him and Darth Vader, who knows? Maybe he defeats him again in a certain way, not necessarily killing them, obviously, because we know that. But who's to say that he doesn't like, yo, you burnt me up and all this other stuff. I'm about to come back and get my lick back. And you know what I'm saying? I'm excited to see how this all pans out.
See, this is why I like talking to Steve about Star Wars, because he's not jaded from like decades of the toxic roller coaster ride that James and I have been through.
It's just like I just binged all of it in a couple of months. It's like, it's great.
He reminds me why Star Wars is great.
Yeah, man. I love Star Wars so much, like especially for moments like this. Again, I'm gonna bring the image up again. Just watching Obi-Wan hold back this glass from
badass.
breaking underwater with hundreds, thousands of tons of pressure. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's ridiculous the way that he was able to hold it back and then to be able to use it to his advantage. Another thing that I really liked was when he was reflecting one of the blasters, he hits it into a switch that closes the door that stops like the purge trooper from coming in. I thought that was really, really cool. One of my favorite things to do in Fallen Order is reflect blasters from stormtroopers. It is the easiest thing to do. There's such terrible shots they shoot, you just bounce it back, hit them in the head, and they're dead. It's the
like
greatest thing ever.
It's like, oh, where's that blaster bolt going? Oh, back at you.
It's just awesome. So let's get to the ending sequence. So that happens. They put on the trench coat. They're hiding Leia under it. Somehow Fifth Brother doesn't feel Obi-Wan. He doesn't see anything. Just walks completely by them, blaming Third Sister. They get outside, like we already talked about. Reva says traitor. They get stopped, and then the T-47 show up and absolutely annihilate the stormtroopers.
That was awesome.
I thought that was so cool.
Come back.
Yeah, what did you think about that entire sequence? Did you think that the T-47s were going to show up? Did you think we were going to see, Sully and Wade again before they showed up?
I didn't. That was a total surprise. I was definitely caught off guard by it.
Yeah. See, what about you?
It's a great sequence.
Yeah, I was definitely shocked on it. I just thought that she was gonna stop them, and then there was gonna be like this, like kind of like, okay, I'm gonna have to use the Force or something like that with Obi-Wan, or Obi-Wan's gonna fight his way out and something like that. And then that happened with them showing back up and everything like that. So I was just like, oh, okay, cool. That's cool just to see that, because I was thinking like, yo, he's really about to go nuts. Like, he's already stopped water, you know what I'm saying? Water pressure and all this other stuff. I was like, yo, Obi-Wan is really about to have like these crazy moments right now where he's just really about to go nuts. And that's what I thought we were going to get. So it was like a pleasant surprise that they came, and I was just kind of like, oh, okay, cool. And I guess it is only episode 4. We still got a couple more episodes before he goes completely wild like that. But I was just thinking, I was like, is he really about to have like a crazy badass moment where he decides to wipe everybody out? And that would be nuts.
Dude, I'm with you. There was 2 seconds there where I'm like, is Obi-Wan and Tala about to like murder everyone and somehow escape to the ship that Tala came in? Because that would be insane and I would lose my mind. But watching, them show up, it gives them something to do. It lets them shine just a little bit. But unfortunately, we lose Wade.
Rip Wade.
Sorry, Wade. Thank you for your sacrifice.
Rebel that we never knew.
We never knew him, but thank you for your sacrifice. Because of you, we got back Leia. We were able to get back Obi-Wan and Tala. So, and then Sully. Shout out to the actress for doing such a good job of seeming so incredibly sad, like watching her friend die. I thought that was really good acting.
I'm glad that she felt it.
Right, because she was the only one that did. But anyway, so that happens. They get back onto the ship. Roken, asks for Wade. Unfortunately, we lost Wade. And then we get this incredible moment between Obi-Wan and Leia holding hands. Leia reaches out for him, holds his hand, just like, thank you for coming for me. Thank you for always coming for me. And I almost cried during that scene. I thought that was amazing. But before we get there, I skipped over one thing. It's the sequence between Vader and Reva.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So Steve, tossing it to you first. What do you think about that scene? Because I thought Vader was absolutely fucking terrifying. The way that he just walks in and he just force chokes her. He's like, "What did I tell you if you were to fail me?"
Tell me again. Yeah, I thought that was nuts. I thought that he was really about to fuck her up. And then to find out, like, you know what I'm saying, she's like, I got a bug on him, like, relax. Like she's still kind of, you know, like kind of cool about it, even though she's like gasping or whatever. I had a bug on him. And then you find out that it's the fucking drone that Leia had the whole time.
Poor
And it's-
Lola.
Yeah.
it's
Lola
like-
has been mistreated this whole series.
And it's just like, man, dang, that's cold. At the same time, it's just like, you know what I'm saying? He was like, okay, you are a little smarter than I thought, and all this other stuff. So I liked it. And then at the same time, it's like, man, Darth Vader usually just murks anybody. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you guys ever seen there's this one skit that this dude named Caleb City does, and it's like the villain that kills all his henchmen. And then like he's in a room and he's empty. And then there's only one dude in there and he's all like, he said, rally up a team. He's like, there is no team. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, what do you mean? He's like, you killed everybody. He's like, I've killed everybody? He's like, yeah. He's like, what the hell? He's like, and that's what Darth Vader was about to kill Rika. I was like, damn, dude, like, she's pretty strong. You might need her later. So it was just like, it made me think of that.
What does he say in Rogue One? Don't choke on your ambitions or something
Yeah.
like that.
Careful not to choke on your admiration, director.
Yeah, something like
critic.
that. Yeah. He says that to everyone before he murders them and then like promotes the next guy up.
So, like, as you can see, I don't like failure. kill somebody, as you can see.
But Chris, what do you think about that? Because they've done such an incredible job of making Vader terrifying in the series.
That scene was awesome. You know, in interviews, Hayden Christian promised us that this was going to be Vader at like his most aggressive and most powerful. And I think the show's done a great job showing us that. I've never seen Vader act that way before. Just like storm into a room and immediately lift somebody like off the ground. It was awesome.
One of I don't know if this probably all like combining, but one of the dopest things what he did when he was like choking someone up and then the kids came outside and he was like grab breakneck. I was like, yo, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's pretty vicious.
Oh, you're muted.
James, you're muted.
Sorry. Then he just grabs this woman, drags her through the street, and then snaps her neck with the Force.
Yeah.
Did he pull somebody through a window?
Yeah,
Like,
like, I was just like, yo, what the fuck?
But this is tame, dude. If you read the comics right after Revenge of the Sith, I
He's
believe
intense.
it's Dark Lord of the Sith Volume 1. Oh man, it's real bad, man. Vader has a very high body count, I'll say that.
Yeah, all the Vader comics since Marvel like took back the rights to Star Wars have been
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, started the
Definitely
2015
more of a
Vader
monster.
run and just keep going. It's just so good.
Okay, I'm gonna check those out.
Yeah, but jumping back to that moment that I was talking about, Chris, starting with you, like, what did you think about that moment between Obi-Wan and Leia?
It's so sweet. You know, it just reminds us that she's 10. She's just a little girl, you know, like she was exceptionally brave when she was captured, but like it's this very sweet kind of moment of relief. I'm with a safe protector again. Like, thank you for coming to get me. Also, she thought he was dead. You know, like he saved her life when they were, what was the planet? Was it Jabim still? The planet with Kumail Nanjiani. What was the name of that planet?
That was Dayu.
Dayu. So he saved her life there. It's a very tender moment between the two of them. And also this moment of relief for Obi-Wan as well, where they're like, okay, we've gotten away for now. Like, let's just take a moment to relax.
Yeah. So I like the scene, and it Star Wars, from what I've noticed, they do a good job of doing this partner of like father figure and something cute. Because with Mando and Grogu, and then Leia.
That's
and
definitely a
Obi-Wan.
recent thing, though, Steve.
Yeah,
where
I
they're-
was like, I like this. Oh well, I don't know if it's just recent or what. I like it. I like it. I'm like, oh, okay, you got this nice, like, oh, okay, I'm a protector type thing, and then you got the like innocent, like kid,
Yeah.
or I guess Grogu is 50, but childlike, you know what I'm saying?
He's a
Thing that
baby. He's a baby still.
yeah. So I like that. I like that a lot. Like that how they did that. So that was very touching.
Agreed.
Yeah,
So,
I absolutely love that scene. Almost teared up. It's such a good scene, and Vivian, like, she's such a good actress. It's crazy. She's so young, and she's such a good actress. Like watching them play off of each other, where she like grabs his hand, and she sits back and like just relief. It's like, thank you for saving me. I can relax now. Like we can go home. You're alive. Good. You're not dead. You know, it was this great touching moment between them, while also the parallel of, I just said her name, Sully just like, like feeling bad for a friend. She just lost a friend, while Obi-Wan just gained back someone, so it's just those
Doesn't
parallels.
Tala have
Even
a
though we
line?
win, we lose.
Tala has a line where she's like, I guess you are soldiers now.
Yeah, I guess
Or
we're soldiers
something.
now. Yeah. So it's just, it's great, but it also sucks at the same time that we have to lose so many people in this process. But that's war, man,
yep.
So I want to know, where does this episode rank amongst the other episodes for you guys? Chris, I'll start with you.
This is not a bad episode of Star Wars by any means. I really enjoy a lot of the things that are in this episode. I personally, though, feel as though it is the slowest episode so far. And I was kind of joking earlier when I was talking about, Thunderbolts being a movie rather than a television show, and like the middle episodes always kind of being unnecessary or slow or whatnot. This episode is not unnecessary at all. Like, this is a important part of the story. We're just kind of in my opinion, a little bit of a lull prior to like amping up into the penultimate episode and then the finale. But that's something that we've seen from most of these Lucasfilm and MCU shows anyway. But I enjoyed it. It's just not at the top of the list of like best episodes in the Obi-Wan show. But I think overall the Obi-Wan show has been really, really good so far.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Steve, what about you? You have the benefit of binging all four, so it's like,
I know.
yeah. So where does it rank for you?
So episode 3 is number 1. Just because Darth Vader just kind of did everything. So episode 3. I would say it's fourth, but I don't think it's a bad thing that it's fourth. Episode 3, then episode 1 and 2. No, episode 2, and then episode 1. Because I liked at the end of episode 2 where she kind of just like, Vader's been looking, Anakin's alive, and he's been looking for you. And like, I was like, okay, let's go ahead and press play on that.
I hope we get an answer to why she knows that Darth Vader's Anakin Skywalker.
Facts.
Yeah. I do want to
Don't let me
that.
down, show.
Didn't even
Come on,
think
Deborah
about
Chow.
Yeah. Do you think we'll find out at the end of this season?
I really hope, because that's going to be a huge plot hole if we don't. So I really hope that like either in next week's episode or the finale, we're going, like we talked about earlier, to get a whole bunch of expository information about what happened to Reva when she was a child, how she became an Inquisitor. And I hope in that revelation, we'll find out how she knows that Darth Vader's Anakin Skywalker. Because I don't think Darth Vader is going around telling people that he used to be Anakin Skywalker. Anakin Skywalker is dead.
Yeah.
As far as he's concerned.
He refers to Anakin as a completely other person, no matter who he's talking to. So I don't know how anyone could make that connection. So how does she know?
Unless she actually saw Anakin murdering younglings in the Jedi Temple. Like that is really the only link that I can think of.
That would be
great. Where she could say, this guy is also this person because he murdered my fellow younglings and Padawans.
Sold.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I have faith that the show will reveal everything we need to know.
Yeah.
I choose to have faith right now.
Yeah, that's dope.
That would be amazing, because if they did like a flashback where Hayden Christensen is like playing Darth Vader, but most of it is like in the suit and stuff like that. So
We've
we
seen him
haven't
like
seen,
at a distance,
but we haven't seen it.
cloaked by a Jedi robe.
And
You
he's
know?
the one in the back to tank. He is covered in prosthetics and makeup, but it is him.
I want
It's
him to
like-
act though, bro.
Yeah,
We
so I'm
know
thinking-
that Vader's comprised of like 3 different people, you know? So I really want to see him do something.
I would love to see like a flashback and he starts killing all the younglings and then she's like, fuck this, and she kills a youngling or something I was like, fuck this, I'm with you. And she kills a youngling or something. Like I would love to see like a flashback or something like that where we get to see Hayden Christensen.
Even though Anakin has just turned to the dark side when he's invading the Jedi Temple and murdering all the Jedi, I think he would be confused if he saw a youngling murder another youngling. He'd be like, oh, I get why I'm doing it. But
So you got potential, kid.
That's
Come
cold.
with me.
Life or death. Like,
I'm just
that's all
getting
she
into this whole Sith thing. You're very scary to me.
she saw everybody die secret swim and she's like, fuck this.
But for me, this is my favorite episode, guys, and it's
I'm
only
happy
because
that's the case.
it's only because I just nerded out way too much in this episode, and I did, but it mainly came towards the end of episode 3. But throughout this entire episode, I was just losing my fucking mind, like literally just standing there, and we're watching the rebels talk about Nur, this water moon that is the home of the Inquisitors. Just that alone absolutely blew my mind. Seeing Obi-Wan swimming underwater, going through this open hatch in order to get into Fortress Inquisitorius, bro. Watching him get back into the swing of things, using the lightsaber, feeling more comfortable. That moment between Reva and Leia, such a powerful scene, showing Leia's resilience while also showing Reva's backstory and what motivates her. And we learn so much through that interrogation scene. Watching Obi-Wan hold back the water. Watching Obi-Wan take out those stormtroopers in the dark when he was trying to save Leia. There's just so many moments in this episode. I love that Tala got to shine, shutting down that security officer at the beginning, and then choking out the terminal officer. I thought that was awesome. There's just everything flying on all cylinders in this episode. Getting to see the T-47s, everything. I just loved everything about this episode. Hands down my favorite. Episode 3 would be my second favorite, then episode 2, then 1. You know, like I fucking loved everything about this episode. Like,
That's
just
awesome.
watching Leia, again, that one line between Leia and Reva, is this a staring contest or something? And Reva is trying her hardest, trying to break through, because we saw her do it with Kumail Nanjiani's character in episode 2. She just pulled the thoughts right out of his mind. Could not do it to a 10-year-old. My brain was just losing it, dude. I'm such a nerd for Star Wars. I fucking lost it. So for me, this was just peak Obi-Wan. As of right now, anyway.
Yeah, we got 2 more to go.
Yeah, 2 more to go, man. So, question for you guys. Where do you think the path leads? Do you think it leads to one planet? Do you think it's a path to multiple planets? Do you think the path is like a collection of planets together that, like, you know, that we send people to? Like, what do you guys think the path is, and where do you think it leads to? Chris, I'll start with you, if you have an answer.
I think the path could be a way to kind of help Jedi congregate on one specific planet, set them up for success, and then disperse them across the galaxy. You know, because, like, as we've seen, especially in episode 2 with Kumail Nanjiani's character, like, he recognizes his child's Force sensitive, and yes, he has kind of ulterior motives and, like, making credits and shit like that. But, like, he does want to get Force sensitive children to safety. So I think if you take families with Force-sensitive members, send them through the path, get them to a planet, like I said, set them up for success. It's almost like witness protection program, you know? Like, you're just getting these individuals ready to go back out into the galaxy and hide from the Empire, you know? So I think it might be something like that, because having a bunch of Jedi congregate in one specific place, it just seems like a very bad idea in this like in the political climate that we're currently in Star Wars in the Obi-Wan show. So I think it's probably something like that, where maybe they have a home base and then they just disperse.
See, what about you?
I have no answer for what I think that it would be. I'm more so along.
Completely fair.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
totally fine.
on for the ride. I still haven't seen Clone Wars. I still haven't played the games. So there's a lot of stuff where I'm like, I feel like I'm missing gaps when some of the time when you guys talk about stuff, and I'm like, all right, I need to still get caught up on certain things. But no, I have no idea. I'm just here for the ride, to be honest.
Yeah, everything that I'm talking about it's all speculation. Like, I was thinking the path is probably like a collection of planets that were like marked off as like safe. And I think some of those planets may have like hidden Jedi temples, you know, hidden Jedi like scrolls and shit. There's so many different things that there could be. Or like you were saying, Chris, now that you said, I was like, it would make sense that there's like designated planets that where they could meet up. Like, if someone were to find a bunch of younglings, they could meet up on this one planet and pair them with a Jedi and then go to another planet, train them up, keep them safe. So that could be something too, you know? So I am very interested to see where it goes.
We know, based on like some of the extended media since Lucasfilm was purchased from Disney, that Luke, one of the things that he does after Return of the Jedi, in between Return of the Jedi and The Last Jedi, is he goes and hunts down various Jedi temples and collects Jedi artifacts. So there are definitely Jedi temples like strewn across the galaxy that are hidden from people, and they could potentially be using those as like meeting places, you know? So I dig what you're saying as well.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see if like we'll learn more about the path in Andor. I think it would be a missed opportunity if we didn't learn more about the path in Andor. So another question that I have here for you guys: do you think we'll actually see Quinlan Vos before season 1's over?
That I don't know.
I would say it's more likely that we see Quinlan Vos than Cal Kestis.
Yeah.
Over under 50%, I would put it at like under 50%. But I think it was a really great Easter egg and name drop. I would love to see Quinlan Vos in live action. I think that would be really dope. I don't know if it's going to happen though.
Yeah.
What do you think? Over under 50%? Do you think higher than 50% we're going to see him?
Under.
Yeah.
Steve, what about you?
Who's Quinlan Vos? I hear the name a lot.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I hear the name a lot, but I'm like,
you'll meet him in Clone Wars.
He's a crazy Jedi.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
he has dreads with like yellow like face paint.
Okay. I was looking him up. Okay. Wow. He's in the comics too. I see.
Yeah.
Okay,
Quinlan Vos is a wild Jedi.
That's a great way to describe him.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
Okay.
yeah, we probably won't see him, but yeah, it was a cool name drop to get Quinlan Vos. But I would think it would be cool to maybe see him in a future series, you know, of some kind, just somewhere. I think that would be really dope. Yeah.
That would be.
Yeah. So let's get final thoughts on Obi-Wan Kenobi Part 4. Chris, I'll start with you.
Like I said earlier, a lot of great Star Wars stuff, a lot of fun Star Wars moments in this episode. It wasn't my favorite, but it's still a great piece of Star Wars entertainment. I had fun watching it, and I'm excited to see where the rest of the show goes from here. 2 more episodes. We're close.
Yeah. Steve?
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I got the pleasure of binging 4 episodes at once. So now I am like you guys now. I'm a normie where I have to wait week to week. But
it's
yeah,
torture. I hate waiting week to week.
Yeah, I loved it though. I really loved this episode too. I've loved this entire series. I need more. I would love to see what else they're going to come up with, because with Obi-Wan or whatever, it's just like Ewan McGregor is a great actor. And just seeing him play this character is just like, man, this is really, really good. And like I saw him in the episode 1 and 2, and just seeing that character, him playing this character is just like really cool.
Yeah, man. I love seeing Ewan McGregor back. He's such a good actor. What he does with just like body acting and like face acting, like when he walks into the tomb and he says the word tomb, you can hear his voice shake from just the despair of seeing fellow Jedi and fucking younglings encased in amber. It's so like creepy to watch. Do you guys have any expectations for the last two episodes? Like, is there something that you really, really want to see for Obi-Wan to be like a 9 out of 10 or like a 10 out of 10 series for you? Like, is there something that you need to see? You don't have to have an answer, but is there something that you just need to see happen?
I mean, I don't know if I need to see it. I guess you're asking about expectations.
Yeah.
I expect Obi-Wan and Vader will have a more intense clash, probably in episode 6. And then he goes back to Tatooine. You know?
Yeah.
What I want is I want the show to wrap in a nice clean bow so there aren't any plot holes in regards to how this moves into A New Hope. Like that, honestly, they could tell whatever story they want. That's the only thing I wanted going into Obi-Wan. And as I mentioned, a couple weeks ago when I was on the show, like this was my most anticipated show for 2022. All I asked is that they tell a really great Obi-Wan story, something that we've never seen, and that they don't create any plot holes between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. I feel like that's not a lot to ask.
It's really not.
So I don't have a whole lot of expectations for episode 5 and 6 outside of I have a feeling that Vader and Obi-Wan are going to clash at least one more time. And I'm excited to see that.
Yeah.
Has this already been declared a limited series?
Yes. Well,
it's up in the air, technically, right?
So maybe they won't give you plot hole. Maybe they'll be like, hey.
I messaged you guys a couple days ago saying that there's a huge grain of salt rumor floating around right now that it's going to get a season 2. I really hope that's not the case. So,
okay.
Limited series, in my opinion, at least for something like this, is a better way to go because you get to tell a complete, concise story and leave it at that. Not everything has to be seasons long to be good.
Yeah. Steve, do you have any expectations for the last 2 episodes?
Chris hit it on the head. I need a Vader Obi-Wan rematch to see how much Vader has really progressed because he says you've gotten weak and over time and all this other stuff, and now Obi-Wan is coming back and getting that groove back. So I'm wondering if we can get him back on top of his game, and if we do, then how far has Vader progressed? Because we still know that Vader is who he is, and so I'm wondering how much. So I would love to see that clash just to see where the line is on who the strength margin of who's stronger and everything like that. So I would love to see that.
I don't even need to see Obi-Wan defeat Vader. I just want to see him put up more of a fight than he did in episode 3 and defeat him in a smart enough way to escape. That's really all I expect from another Vader Obi-Wan encounter. Obi-Wan being strong enough to maybe best Vader in a moment and make his escape back to Tatooine without him knowing where he is. That would be plenty for me.
What would be perfect for me is if we can have a moment like when Yoda and the Emperor were fighting in Revenge of the Sith, where it was this crazy all-out crazy battle, and then Yoda escapes, goes in a different direction.
Yeah, Yoda's just like, I'm not gonna win this.
Yeah, and he just leaves. I think it would be amazing to have that between Obi-Wan and Vader. So that's definitely something that I need by the end of episode 6. I would also like to see the Grand Inquisitor again. I would like to get some, because there's no way that he's dead. There's just no way that that's a thing. So I would love to see the Grand Inquisitor again. I would love to just learn a little bit more of Reva. What is Reva going to do next? Does she make it out of season 1? What happens? Because she's not going to catch Obi-Wan. So what happens? Does Vader kill her? So that's something I want to get some closure with Reva, or some setup for something potentially in the future. Yeah, so I absolutely love this episode. I thought it was a lot of fun. Can't believe there's only 2 episodes left. One last thing real quick before we get into our plugs. I absolutely hate that the internet is just complaining that this episode is a rescue mission. The entire season is a rescue mission. Like, realistically, like, the entire thing is all about getting Obi-Wan out of retirement to save Leia, right? We saw at the end with Lola. Lola has now been corrupted. We know that Reva is tracking them through Lola. So wherever they go, which more than likely they're going back to Jabeam, something's going to happen on Jabeam, right? And then something else is going to happen on episode 6 before we get Leia back to Alderaan, right? So there's stuff going on, you know? It's like the entire season is a rescue mission. So it's like, I don't get what you're complaining about. Like, what are your guys' thoughts on it? If you've even heard the complaints.
I'm tired, bro. And you know, I'm not immune to it. I have my nitpicks about Star Wars. Obviously, you know, Steve listened to me rant about the Book of Boba Fett for a fucking hour and a half on my show. Like, so I'm a participant in it a little bit, but like, it seems like every week the internet, Twitter specifically, just has like a new complaint, and after a while, and this is obvious what I'm about to say, but like, some people just want to complain about things. You know, it's not about critiquing the craft or the art of storytelling or anything like that. It's literally just about finding something that you want to nitpick on and just complaining for the sake of complaining. And I'm exhausted. It's exhausting to see all that over and over and over again every week.
Same, dude. Like, Steve, what are your thoughts on it? Like, do you care? Like, do you even see where these people are even coming from? Because I don't get it. Like, the entire season, we've seen it. It's all a rescue mission. He only leaves Tatooine because of Leia. It's all a rescue mission. So to say that this one episode is mid because it's a rescue mission, I think it's idiotic. The whole thing is.
Yeah, it's people complaining or be complaining, and they're always going to complain. Even like a lot of times when I catch people like that, I'm like, okay, so what did you want? And then they can't even say anything. They just, well, it's mid, and it's like mid is like the biggest cop out.
It's the catch-all for everything, dude.
Yeah, the biggest cop out for any conversation. It's mid. What was mid about it?
What about it made it that way?
Yeah.
You know, elaborate. Yeah. Expand on what you disliked about this particular thing. When I was critiquing the Book of Boba Fett, my critique was that the show is called the Book of Boba Fett, and yet halfway through the show, it completely switches its main characters. You know, I personally feel as though that's a critique of the writing. You know, not like, I'm not complaining about, oh, this particular thing didn't happen, therefore this piece of media is shit. I'm just saying, like, the show, based on its title, promised that Boba Fett was going to be the main character, and yet 2 of the penultimate episodes were not about Boba Fett. I think that's a failing.
It's fair.
Fair. But there are parts of the show that I liked. You know, so like, you can still like something and have critiques about it. It's not binary. It's not black and white. I don't know. The internet's exhausting, bro.
Yeah, dude, it's
very exhausting.
It's ridiculous, man. I can't wait to hear the complaints for episode 5. The biggest complaint from episode 3, oh, Obi-Wan went down too easily. He should have been able to put up a bigger fight. He hasn't turned on a lightsaber in a decade, bro. Yeah. He hasn't fought anyone in a decade. This is Vader in his literal prime.
He's having problems moving small objects with the Force.
Yeah, it's just... It's just people are complaining just to complain. They're nitpicking because they wanted Star Wars to end, is what it feels like. And they're just like, we didn't want anymore. It was perfect what it is. And it's just like, dude, get over it. They're going to continue to make these shows. So now be subjective and actually watch the show and try to enjoy it without just hate watching. Like, they're only turning on the episodes to say that they hate it. And that's something that you can spend your time doing so many other things other than just spending, and you're watching every episode. You're going to watch all 6 episodes.
The things that you love in the past will always be there. They'll still be there.
Right.
If you are a fan of just the original trilogy, all this other content has not changed. Well, That's a bad example. But George Lucas has changed the original trilogy a lot. That's a very poor example. But you get my message, is that the content that you loved in the past will always be there for you to continuously watch and love and appreciate. No one's forcing you to continue to watch this other content. And it doesn't make that content lesser. Mm-hmm. Just because one thing that came out recently is bad. There should be a way to differentiate between those two things, but people find it so hard to do so.
Yeah, it's like, I have no issues with you not liking the show, but it's just like, to say that it's mid just because you don't like the race of a character, just because you don't think the show should exist.
They're not valid arguments.
Yeah, that doesn't make it mid. Like, why don't you like Reva? Tell me. Like, what actual things can you tell me? What tangible things can you tell me do you not like? And I'm okay with that. If you don't like Moses Ingram's acting, that's perfectly fine. That's your perspective. If you don't like the arc of Third Sister because some people believe that she's too like angry and whiny, even though Anakin was the same way.
So sure. Darth Vader is literally angry. He walks into a room and kills people. like that's his character, and that's what she works for.
Both Anakin and Luke are exceptionally whiny individuals.
They are. Like, come on. But again, it's because of the color of her skin. It's because she's a woman. It's because they don't want to accept new characters in Star Wars, and that's just it. Because she's no different than other characters that we've seen in the Star Wars universe. And again, she has every right to be upset. Every right to be upset. But I digress. Again, guys, this was an incredible episode in my book, my favorite. Can't wait to see what we get with the final 2 episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi. But Chris, tell the people where they can find you online.
You can find me personally on Twitter at Chris Conkling, talking about all things nerdy, comic books, television, movies, video games, collectibles. If it's nerdy, I'm talking about it. And then, of course, you can find my podcast, Popaholics, at Popaholics on Twitter, or at PopaholicsCast on Instagram. We have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/Popaholics. And then, of course, every Monday and Wednesday, we release episodes on all your favorite podcast platforms. The Monday episodes are weekly uploads in which we talk about the latest in pop culture news and film news. And then every Wednesday, we theme our months around a piece of pop culture that's coming out. For instance, Jurassic World Dominion is right around the corner. So this month on the Popaholics, we are doing Jurassic June, in which we've gone back and revisited all the sequels to Jurassic Park. So tune in this Wednesday. We'll be talking about Jurassic World.
Oh boy, that sounds like so much fun. Go listen to the Jurassic Park 3 episode.
Spoilers, I'm not kind to that movie, so I'm sorry for anybody that really likes Jurassic World.
Listen to the Jurassic Park 3 episode. It was such a good review. I despise that movie with every fiber of my being. It is such a dog shit movie. Jurassic Park hasn't been good since the first one, and somehow they have just made the same movie 5 times, and it's just it's absolutely fucking ridiculous. But definitely head over to Popaholics, listen to all of their episodes on Jurassic Park. You will have a great time with those episodes. But Steve, tell the people where they can find you online.
Oh yeah, you can follow me at ScubaSteve1428 on all social media. Follow the Blerd Mind Pod, which is my podcast. There's a Linktree. There's 9 of us. Inside of the Linktree, you can follow whichever 9 that you like. If you only like 3 of us, there's not. You can pick and choose which individuals you would love to follow. And also the ItMob shop is in there as well. So buy some merch, Patreon, all that stuff. So make sure you guys follow us, and you can find everything that we're doing inside that link tree.
Yeah, these guys are constantly posting content on the Patreon, so it is definitely worth it. I get email notifications like multiple times a week about new stuff that they have on there. So they are putting in the work. They are a team of great creators, so definitely check them out over there. You guys can follow me all over social media at JB Exclusive. Follow me on Twitter mainly. That's where I talk about movies constantly. I post pictures of some of my favorite cinematography shots from movies, my favorite comic book panels, reviews on comics, TV shows, whatever. You'll find all of my thoughts on Twitter. If you want to find absolutely everything else that I do, go to carefulforspoilers.com, find links to the Patreon, the merch store, all of the links to the other podcasts on the C4S Podcast Network, like You've Got to See This, like I mentioned at the beginning. Episode 4 of the Recast cast, we talked about recasting the Fantastic Four in the MCU. Incredible episode. Make sure you go to subscribe to that feed and let them know that the Villains crew sent you. But guys, again, thank you all in chat for showing up and talking to us about this episode. And until episode 5, we will see you guys on the next one.